I'd like to ask Prof. Simeon Davies, Prof. Judy Hester, and Ms. Liesl Strauss to join us for a short discussion. Please come forward. All right, thank you very much. Before I let you introduce yourself in full detail, including your entire CV, etc. So we're going to be spending like 10 o'clock tonight. I just briefly want to introduce this graph for you. The sources in here as well. Having this project, and for me being international coordinator for the School of Health, it's very important to link these kind of initiatives. Sometimes we are sort of stuck in this domain, the curriculum we're working in. Let's not forget that we have leadership and governance that is going to be very important in driving internationalization strategies. For me personally, centrally located in that is always, and not only for me personally, is the fact that we need to educate students to be capable to be able to function in a society that becomes more global ever and ever again. The job context that students are working in has an international context. So, internationalization at home. What do we do in our own curricula, in our own campus context, to still help the students to become globally competent professionals? So that's why, as supporters of the CASO project, I've asked these people to join us. And maybe you want to introduce yourselves briefly? Yeah, that could be important.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I was having microphones.
Thank you. I'm Liesl Strauss. I'm head of the Boland-Overberg campus, part of the bigger Western Cape College of Nursing. And I think I've joined the Western Cape College of Nursing in 2010, and we've started commissioning rural campuses. That was the strategy of the National Department of Health. So I was involved in that, and by actually doing our daily job, we've met with René when was it, in 2015?
March 250.
And we started talking, so we got involved in the CASO project. So I'm actually a nurse, and for a few years now also manager, managing business processes and and also looking at the quality of the academic programs. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Hester from University of the Western Cape. My current portfolio is Deputy Dean Clinical Community Engagement. I'm a nurse by profession, and I have what I am UWC because I have trained there as an undergraduate nurse. I've returned there, and this year is going to be my 30th year there as an academic. So, yes.
Okay.
My interest is actually in gender-based violence, in service learning, and engaged teaching and learning.
Thank you. I'm actually quite reassured here, so if I collapse, I've got two women who can look after me very quickly. So my name's Simeon Davies. I'm head of sport management at CPUT, and some of my staff are here, Chris, Etienne and Tanil, I think, who I can see, and I know they've been very instrumental, particularly Chris, in supporting the CASO project. Since its inception, I have been as supportive as I can be to the project because I saw the international implications of aligning, working and developing relationships with Holland, Belgium and also other institutions communities in particularly the Western Cape. So thus far, I think it's been an incredibly successful program, and given that we work specifically in the area of sport management, sport business, marketing, those sorts of things, because of its cross-cutting nature, particularly in society, because like if you watch TV, it's dominated by sport and all the things that happen around it. We feel that the combination of your services and what we can offer makes a very, very compelling program, along with the international support. So we're very excited to be on board, and we'll talk further, I think.
Well, let me continue then with the first question for you. Thank you for the introductions. My first question would be to you and to Ms. Strauss to go into what it actually meant for you to be part in this project on an institutional level or on a department level.
So, if I may start, I think any of us who work in institutions suffer from a potential condition of becoming caught in a silo, where you get wrapped up in the processes of delivering qualifications and doing research within your discipline, and that can become very introspective, and you start to forget that we actually exist in this global workplace, which you alluded to just now. And I think it's really very, very important that our students understand that there is a world out there, and I also think it's very important that students from Europe understand that Africa is not quite as they may perceive it on TV, and that there are many commonalities in terms of their experiences, but there are also things that they can learn from each other. And the only way that really happens in any sort of meaningful way is to create projects like this. So I'm incredibly supportive of this, and I think it is of a very important value to all the agencies involved.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I think from us, when we joined the CASO project, we were still in an agency agreement with CPUT, and I think it's a year ago that we've actually, that agency agreement has come to an end, so that has posed for us a lot of challenges. But I think with the support from our stakeholders at CPUT that were committed to the project, it actually, we got through it, you know. And I think internally, from our internal stakeholders, we also had some challenges. And what was so great to see is that we had coordinators starting with the process, and then they obviously had to take up other positions. Our first coordinator immigrated to New Zealand, and second coordinator actually, yeah, and so every time the next person has put up their hands to be part of this project. And I think from Western Cape College of Nursing side, this is the first time we got involved in such a big project, and it was such a great learning curve for me, myself, and I think the whole team, especially sitting in Talita, Talita, Rosaline, Nasma. I think it was just an amazing journey for us, and we've learned a lot. And I think a lot of the outputs from the program, I mean, we can significantly implement it. We've already started influencing our curriculums. We are looking at, I don't want to go into it, but it was really for us significant. We've also picked up the challenges going forward and what we need to sort out, you know, because in government, we're falling within government. There's a lot of, we need to look at MOUs and bilateral agreements and to make it work.
Take time to build trust, will take time. And I think you also have to come to some kind of agreement with your partner in terms of you have to have common values. For instance, internationalism is linked a lot to new imperialism, right? So if I regard you as coming to just take our knowledge, it's going to taint our relationship. In other words, we have to be upfront and address these underlying issues and bring it to the fore, because only once you have done that are you able to move into the real work of project. And I think part of this project is building capacity. And many times people tend to think that it's all about my institution, and we forget it's actually about mutuality. That is why it's called a partnership. We have different strengths, different skill sets, but eventually you have to build into the partnership, and I think it has to be written very clearly. What are the expectations and what are the roles, to prevent things becoming murky and unpleasant in the long run.
The little confused eyes in all the slides. That's part of it. Prof. Simeon, what would you define as the added value for your department after seeing the results of the project?
Well, there are many, and I think that's the interesting thing. We were talking about, like,
Have you seen developed in some of your colleagues that took part in this project?
Yeah, I think I can echo on what Prof. Davies was saying. I've seen skills coming forward that you never think. I think it's actually on what Prof. Davies was saying. I think the other value was our students that went over. We've actually seen in our students that little bit of international collaboration and interaction, how it changed their lives. And I think they can vouch for it. They're sitting here, so we were so proud of them and how they actually interact abroad. So for our students, it was a great opportunity. I think also addressing our continuous professional development, things we want to enhance in the province and even nationally, how we can actually make use of these outcomes to influence that.
So actually a project like this sort of fosters, as you mentioned, and as you mentioned as well, a skill development, a competency development for personnel, considering leadership that you otherwise would not would not facilitate for your staff, or would you?
I think it brings different dimension, because it's much easier to be able to deal and manage what is known. But if you bring in different cultures, values, different priorities, because remember, we come with our own agenda. Although we are partners, it's not necessarily equal what we are, want to get out of the partnership. So all of these things actually influence it. But what I also need to say is that in terms of referring to the value added, I've seen with the project, Dr. Young, she, besides joining our interdisciplinary unit, she's actually see the value of placing the students within the communities linked to projects and forming part of that interdisciplinary team. So that to me is another value added. And she's also referred that because of this project, she was able to actually to recruit doctoral students and others masters to work on it. So I mean, the possibilities are huge, depending on what you want out of this specific project, and depending on your paradigm of how you actually see internationalization. If it's just about having a nice outing overseas, or just inviting a lecturer to just take your class to relieve you for something, it will be limited. But if you really understand the purpose of having this kind of exchange, because in fact, I think it's a high-stake activity for universities specifically. It is linked to a lot of marketization because it's linked to resources. And I think it's also linked towards making sure that we are able to train graduates that are able to respond to the 21st century's demands. And we're living in one global village. So I think it's, that is the reality. Yes, I think it was.
All right. One last question for all three of you, and
particularly in UK, the difference between now and 10, 15 years ago is the internationalization of those teams. The coaches, the managers, the training paradigms, the nutrition, the marketing, the managing, the branding, the selection of players, the diversity. It's extraordinary. And the most successful teams incorporate all of the sorts of things you talk about, which is different people working together towards a common purpose. But linked to that, and I'm going to come to your point, is you can have all these wonderful people, but you have to have some fundamental people with specific skills. And I have to say, grant writing is one of the most difficult skills to find in professionals. It is incredibly difficult and skillful. So as soon as you identify a person with those qualities, you hold on to them and ensure that they're part of your team, like Jurgen Klopp. Jesus, you don't look like him. And you make sure that you build everything around that document, because that's in essence what's going to take you forward, certainly at a committee bureaucratic point of view.
All right.
I would like to add to that. I actually see this as also as because we assume that people should have this skill, and it is difficult. It is a quiet skill. So another opportunity for mentoring, for building capacity, should actually form part and parcel of sustaining your project. Make sure you actually bring on board and mentor those the newcomers, because eventually you want to have the same people all the time.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we would like to definitely, we had some experience now and we will build on it. And I think there was a lot of mentoring and learning taking place. So coming out of this project, I think we've got a few stars in our team to take it forward, and we will definitely, that is what we're going to do. I think on a higher level, in my position, I cannot take that final decision. I'm working for government. So obviously, it's business proposals, business cases and things we need to write to get approval to actually...
So just, concluding in for this bit as well, as you mentioned, perfectly clear is the drivers for internationalization. You need to define them, and you need to really make sure they will, in all these dimensions go forward. Thank you very much, Ms. Strauss, Ms. Judy, and Mr. Davies. And I've got a little present for you. Is there a Chris?
It doesn't matter which one.
Thank you so much for being here. All right, our last bit, time is flying. I would like to ask...
Good afternoon, everybody. Still awake? Yes. Thank you for sticking around for me. I'll try to make this as short, as pleasant as possible. Welcome to the Horizontal Content Management Group. Well, I'm only a representative of it, so... but before that, how are we doing in the back? Okay? One standing, the rest sitting. Just get up all if you want, if possible, because I think it's very, very good that you stay here around. Look at each other when doing that, because you're applauding yourself, you're applauding everybody in the room. And say thank you all. Okay, thank you all. You might stand up, be seated, whatever you feel up to now. No, doesn't that feel good? Real energized again. Okay. So, Gerard, Soraya and I, please, Gerard, are you here or still? No, Soraya, please stand up. Would you please stand up? They will see you. That's the point. One of my co-workers here. we've been doing as a horizontal management group to make the content, a wide content of the CASO project. Horizontal does not refer to the position. We did not do it lie down, but we kind of went through the program. So the horizontal in a way as figurative speaking. Well, let's start from the bottom. We worked up from the grassroots, and I will give a presentation also from the grassroots. I will start in the why, then go up to the how, and eventually end up with the what. And the what you've heard, I think, already a few times during the workshops, during the plenary sessions today, this morning. So I will be very brief in that. I will guide you through what we did as the group. So first of all, the why. The why is, well, we are as higher education institutions, we're supposed to make education. And we do that all day long, all day, and all weeks and years, and we're pretty good at it, as I say myself. On the other hand, we're also doing applied science projects. And these two not necessarily go together, because we find things in research and we tend to leave them in research. And again, the most common word in research is we have to do more research. So at the end, we should really convey all the knowledge from the research to education, because that's our job. And we have to train future professionals to live and go by the standards that we find out are most accurate. And in this CASO project, it was already referred to several times, we had 3 projects. And as I stake out, the patient partners were at the hospital. Then we had health and lifestyle and physical exercise at school. And then in the third part, we had empowered caregivers at communities. So you see, there was a kind of discrepancy between these fields. So how do you get them together? Because we have all specialists in these fields, and now this trick is getting them together in one field. So we had kind of look across what does bind us here? What are the goals? And that was our task. We were put up to do that. And then again, beside all kinds of different settings and different expertises, we had to translate what I say from practice to knowledge and capacities. How to do that is a trick of its own. And then we have all these strings coming together and make them as one. And what is the string that binds and holds us together? Okay. And then is the how. So the answer was, apparently, they told us, and we agreed on that, to generate a general MOOC. Who knows what a MOOC is? Please raise hands if you know what a MOOC is. Ever heard of a MOOC? Well, the first time I can tell you that I heard of a MOOC, I had this image. But apparently that was not the image that was meant. So, coming from agriculture, this really appealed to me. But anyway, we could not do this. So we went on further. So all these things we had to juggle were kind of dazzling and mind-blowing. We had to make a MOOC. There was content, we had communication, we had structure, we had, well, you name it, we got it. Sounds like Trump, though. We name it, whatever. So it really made our heads spin, and to think about it and talk about it, and eventually we found out that last week one of our students, Liesl, please stand up. And so, it really is your quote. We ended up as how difficult it is to have a CASO. So it's all about communication. How can we communicate our stuff together? Well, we designed this MOOC. We came to design this MOOC, and there were MOOCs, so we did not find we kind of invented the MOOC ourselves as a horizontal group, but we had to find a way in how the 3 different MOOCs that were developed could be joined together. So we ended up in doing a lot of work in Antwerp, getting to talk to people, get stuff on the ground, which on the poster over there. And we came down to this, and well, that's the former poster, René. The new one has to be developed because it was adapted last week as we speak. It was really finalized for, I think, about 8 months, and developing machinery that puts knowledge in a cloud, translate practice into knowledge and capacities, and people can join that. But we find out new knowledge, new capacities, and we have to add that or replace it. So it's a living document in the cloud. Well, I won't bother going through the details. You can read it in the handouts, I would say, or in the document itself. But the most important part is that there are 3 work packages that stand out on their own. They have special tasks, they have special competencies they kind of researched and came up with and are developing it further. And there are the 3 binding elements. And the binding elements, they appear to be, first of all, empower yourself, and that to empower your colleagues, other professionals, being professionals, or new professionals that is, and eventually, and that's not really good coming out there by light, but it says empower communities. So if you have empowered professionals, if you have empowered yourself, you can come out in the community and try to convey your knowledge, to convey what you know in the community. And then the most important part comes from, as we say, work package 2.1, I think also, but and the work package 2.3 and 2.2. They are in the community, coming from the community, in touch with the community. So practically, the new empowered professional can work with the needs from a community, whether that's in a higher education institution, whether that's in a deprived area, that doesn't matter. It's a school, you can do that. So that's what we are developing and have developed. Okay, so in real life that looks like this. So not a nice schedule, but more a network structure which you can reach from outside as a student or as a civilian or as just somebody who wants to know more about all the different topics we address in this MOOC. You can enlist, you can do the course, but you can also use it in your education. And then you have a tutor to guide you through it, to assess all the modules. And that's where we're at now. What I was talking about, the loss of 5%, is that we can get kind of a protocol how to assess all the end products. And it looks like this, and the poster is over there also. Again, the details, bear with me, I won't talk about that. And afterwards, so we are now at the end of the symposium, we're at the end of the horizontal content management group for now. We practically have to keep up to speed that everything will be filled in and the assessment modules will be in place. But I hope you have a kind of an insight in what the MOOC is like. MOOC, OER, whatever abbreviation you want to know. That's it, and see you in the cloud.
Are there any questions to John on the MOOC? Now is your chance, and otherwise you just have to go to the MOOC. With this presentation, thank you, John. We are actually coming to an end to a really great day. For us, last large staff meeting with the entire group, having the last group of students here that have been working in CASO, and now we need to just do the last few things, or well, we just need to. There's still quite some work that needs to be done. But in closing remarks, looking ahead, because the world doesn't end after CASO. Really, is there life after CASO? But the thoughts that we have, we are looking into MOUs, formalizing agreements for collaboration. We are looking into options for that and use those MOUs as support structure to then look into other funding programs such as Erasmus, but maybe also other funding programs that we can work with. We have some ideas on that we hope to realize for next year. We still have to continue with visibility of all this, including our website. So the students actually are posting their wonderful stories there as well. And NASMA is helping with maintaining that website. So we hope they will continue to do that. As well as all my CASO colleagues will do that. And I can only say that I am so proud of these people, of all we have accomplished in the 3 years, within the circumstances we had to work in, within the contexts we had to work in. And I truly hope we find ways to continue what we are doing in many different ways. And this will, the MOOC will provide us with great opportunities, but also in all our institutions there will be changes in extra programs, enriched programs, extracurricular programs. It's all input we can use to really prepare students to be a globally competent citizen. Is that an interesting word for you students? All right, thank you all for being here. There's going to be some
Now you can stand.
drinks outside.
We'll do drinks after this. So, from us, René, thank you so much for your guidance, your patience. I think you've got a bit grayer the last 3 years. But we have wonderful stories to tell. We have made good friends. Yeah.
I would like to cycle Route 62. And they think it's, you know, you can only do that if you have help my trapfiets. So I'm gonna open this later because thanks again. As I told you, friend for life, and we do have many directions that we go into. You know, Prof. Davies, please let me just claim his hours. Please move to the next room for some networking and some drinks and discuss whatever you want to discuss. Meet the CASO people that you have not met yet. And thanks again, and drive safely home later on. Have a great weekend and hope to see you in the future and in the clouds.